Don't limit your challenges, challenge your limit. Hi, my name's Lucia Jansen. I'm 14 years old, and on April 18th, I swam from Bali to Java. Growing up, swimming has been a huge part of my life. I have competed across the world since I was 8 years old, training early in the morning and late at night, almost every single day to get better and better. I swim between 20 kilometers and 30 kilometers a week. I don't always enjoy it, but I see every single swim session as a step in the right direction to achieve the goals I've set myself. When thinking of my quest, my mind naturally gravitated towards swimming. But I also wanted to do something unique. I wanted to do something no one has ever done. I wanted to push my limits. I think pushing past your limit isn't talked about enough. Pushing your boundaries and setting goals gives you a higher chance of improving your performance. For me, setting goals is the most important thing. Once I set my goal and stick my mind to it, nothing can get in my way. I was thinking my quest this past summer, and I knew I wanted it to have something to do with open water swimming. I looked on the map of all the islands in Indonesia, and Bali to Java just seemed too close not to swim it. But little did I know, there's a narrow piece of water separating Bali and Java. It connects two big bodies of water, the Indian Ocean and the Java Sea. It's called the Bali Strait. The Bali Strait is known for being very dangerous, with currents up to 8 knots, whirlpools, waves, and sea creatures. On June 30th, 2021, there was an incident when a ferry was crossing the Bali Strait. Head Port Authority Office said that the ferry was hit by high waves and dragged by currents until it sank. Over 100 people have died in the Bali Strait in the last 10 years. Many drowned because they couldn't swim, like many of the 4,518 Indonesians who die every year from drowning. Ibu Ilu is a member of our household. She told me that her 9-year-old daughter Noni couldn't swim. So my quest really started when I was in grade 5 when I taught her how to swim for my Footprints project. That was the first time that I found out that many Indonesians can't swim. Listening to last year's quests, there was one that raised money for Swimdo, an organization that prevents drownings by providing survival swim classes to Indonesian children. This worked for my quest and continued the good work of our previous quest, which I think is worth doing. On February 16th, I set off with my dad and grandma to Menjangan on a 4-hour drive. When we got there, we had a meeting with the harbor master. I proposed my idea, and he told us that we need to get permission from the Balinese and Javanese Navy and Marine Police. After the meeting, we got on a boat and sailed around the area where the start of the swim was. Turns out, it was perfect condition to swim, but I didn't want to try that day. Right after the harbor master just said not to. This was really frustrating because I was fully convinced I could have done it. This was a fail, but I think failing just gives you motivation to do it next time. I need to revisit my plan and try again. When planning for the day of the swim, I had to get it just right. If I timed it wrong, it could be very dangerous. I learned that there are 4 moon phases: new moon, full moon, first quarter, and last quarter. The strongest currents happen when there's a full moon because the gravitational pull is at its strongest. So I had to do the swim on the dates of when the first quarter and last quarter were. This was a 2-day window every 2 weeks. I also had to do the swim 1 hour after low or high tide. On April 17th, my mom, dad, Carlos, and I drove 4 hours to Gili Manuk, where the boat ferry took us from Bali to Java. On the ferry ride over, I was super scared. I was practically shaking. The waves kept moving the boat back and forth, and the currents were super strong. I couldn't help but think of me swimming across that water the next day. When we got to the hotel, we did a little briefing on what was going to happen. I got flutters in my stomach thinking about all the worst possibilities that could happen. I woke up at 4 a.m. the next morning because that's 2 hours before low tide at 6 a.m. when the currents are at the least strong. We drove to the beach where the fishing boat picked us up from Java and brought us to the point in Bali where the start of the swim was. When we were sailing across, the winds kept going in all sorts of directions, which were making the waves super choppy. So much water was getting to the boat, I was convinced we were going to capsize. I looked at my dad, hoping to get reassurance, but he looked even more scared than I was, which wasn't really helping. When we docked by the beach, the waves quieted down a bit. I started warming up with my friend JJ, who's also in the swim squad I swim with. She started to swim with me to make me feel less scared. I put my goggles on, stepped into the water, and set off. The stroke, the kick, the breath. The rhythm of swimming started to calm my nerves. I looked around the water, and little fish were swimming through coral. It felt like I was in an aquarium. I was feeling pretty good about the swim, thinking, hey, this isn't so bad. But then reality crept back in. It didn't take long until I couldn't see the bottom. It was pitch black all the way down, and according to the drone, it was more than 100 meters deep. When I lost sight of the bottom, all these things were going through my head. I was mainly scared of letting everyone down. Seeing all the work people put in to let this happen really motivated me to push through. But I was also scared of getting dragged by whirlpools down to the bottom or getting stung by jellyfish. Almost 10 minutes into the swim, Ginger got out into the water, and I had to keep on going alone. Swimming is all about rhythm, and as I headed out into deeper water, the waves were bumping me about. But I was not going to limit my challenge. I was determined to challenge my limits. One stroke, one kick, one breath at a time. The best thing about challenging yourself is the feeling of reaching your goal. A glimpse of rock below me signaled that I was near the end. The blackness of the deep started to be filled with more and more rocks. I had reached the end. When I got out of the water, I could barely stand up, and I couldn't feel my legs. But it was all worth it in the end. The total time it took for me to swim from Bali to Java was 43 minutes. I was super shocked because I thought this was going to take more than an hour. In the end, I surpassed my goal of raising 20 million rupiah for Swimdo, and so far I've raised 40 million rupiah. I think doing difficult things is important. It teaches you grit and determination, and although I am 14 years old, it seems to me that these are useful qualities to have in life. I was fortunate enough to have an amazing coach, ex-Olympian Michael Klim, to push me, and it's made me the swimmer I am today. Doing hard things is never the easy path, but it does deliver the greatest gains. Many people want something easy or want to be comfortable, but this feeling keeps us from succeeding our goals. Life is too short to play it safe. Take a chance and see where it leads you. Sure, it's easy to just sit on your couch and eat chips or something. That's never going to get you anywhere. Doing hard things is uncomfortable, but discomfort is the only way for good change to happen. For many, swimming is a place to run from your mental health issues and a way of being fit. For many, swimming is a matter of life and death. For me, swimming is a pool filled with opportunities to be better. For me, swimming is a place to overcome my problems one stroke at a time. I'd like to thank everyone for supporting me through my Quest project and the teachers for supporting me through my Quest journey. And to my parents and Carlos for taking the time to come all the way to travel with me. I'd also like to give the biggest special thanks to my mom for always supporting me through my swim journey and always being up with me at 4 a.m. before I go to swim practice. And my dad for being the best mentor, giving me the best advice, and pushing me to be the best version of myself. Thank you.